Hello, everybody. My name is Mahael Abdul-Qawi. I'm the founder and representative of the Accountability Party for Human Rights, a political vanguard organization comprised of individuals who have chosen the path of self awareness and self understanding to become something more for themselves, for their loved ones, family, and friends, and then at larger communities around them. In this video, I would like to discuss something that's come up on my radar about the current state of where we are in our country right now as we start to enter these new times post COVID, as we finally start to accept on a wide spread on both sides, both right and left, start to accept that COVID is not over. I want it to be a reminder of the fact that the fight is still not over for what we must be fighting against. COVID was not the main enemy for the last 2 years. If anything, COVID helped expose who we should be fighting more of. COVID helped us see the players that are involved, those who were apparent before, and those who have come out of the darkness because they had to, or because COVID forced them out of the darkness. Where we are at now, where cases are now dropping again because the main wave of the Omicron variant is starting to die down, and with pretty much everybody either having the vaccine or having natural immunity, we are entering a stage where COVID is no longer becoming a major threat to our lives, where now we will see COVID becoming a recurring sickness probably every fall and winter time as other viruses have become. Now, is that to say that we should not prepare? That I believe we should prepare for the next one, because there will be another virus to come around, especially with Fauci and his people playing around with forces that they don't really understand clearly. Or for anybody, you have to think it's not just humans playing around with forces that we don't understand that creates these viruses. The more we explore territories that we don't necessarily know, especially as we are trying to make more room for housing, as we try to expand our human touch to parts of the world that have not been touched, we're going to encounter other animals or maybe substances that can cause a virus or cause something dangerous to us. So we should always be mindful. I believe if there's anything to take away in terms of a virus, is that we as human beings aren't as powerful as we may think physically. So yes, we should be mindful. Now, do we have to limit what we do? No, we do not. That is the social contract everybody signs when they enter this world and become an adult and become a functional human being in the society. You accept the risk that there are things that could harm me, a virus, other people, an animal, a natural disaster, whatever it may be. There are things that we just accept that can harm us, but we don't allow that to stop us from just going outside and doing what we have to do to keep living. So as we move forward, though, I believe, and I'm aware, and I know there are others who believe and are aware of the things that we still need to keep being vocal and keep being active about. With the current administration, the Biden administration is still continuing their consistent fuck ups that they have started since of January of 2021 until now. As we go into the rest of this term, we see how, in other ways, the Biden administration will begin to mess up as they start to show how incapable they are in other areas besides COVID, because they have shown that they are incapable of handling a crisis such as COVID, which hopefully we do not see another pandemic under this administration, because I am afraid of what this administration will do. But I mean, at this point, I'm afraid of what any administration, Republican or Democrat under this current system will do in the future. But yes, I'm afraid specifically of what this current administration will do if we do see either a more potent variant of COVID or another virus of some sorts in general coming. I don't think they will handle it well, but that is something to keep in your mind and your ethos as you live about. What we need to focus on are the constant screw ups that this administration will continue to commit in other areas, especially when it comes to education, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to our foreign affairs, especially with how we are handling this current rising tension with Russia, Ukraine, and just those Eastern European states in terms of the history that we have with that going back to World War II, but also with how we interact with China with this Cold War, with how we handle in the coming years, which we saw a preview of last year of the water crisis that is now hitting certain states in this country, and we're going to see how this Biden administration is is going is going to you prepare the American people for the reality that we will be fighting and scrambling for water, basic human water. I mean, your basic human essential as water. We're going to be fighting over this soon if this administration can't start to prepare us now for it. As I famously bring up on this show at the time, Kamala Harris has slipped out. I believe in the first 2 months of their term, she slipped out that soon people will not be fighting over gasoline anymore. We will be fighting over water. So the water wars are coming. Maybe during, maybe during this administration's term. I can't say for sure. I don't know, but I do know. Again, there are things that we need to keep in mind as we move forward. Things are not going to go back to normal. Things were never normal. We need to stop seeing as COVID as the sole thing that caused disruption. No, COVID was not the sole disruptor. If anything, it was the reaction by the politicians, by the corporations, by the masses, even of the people, because we can't take our accountability out with how we played a part too. Yes, are these forces at hand are trying to manipulate us and control us? Yes, but we, the people, also have to hold ourselves accountable and say that we can't always play the victim card when it comes to if if there's mass oppression on the people. We have to be like we have to sit and reflect, hopefully with each other, regardless of what side you fall on. We have to be able to reflect and see what part did we play in this. Did we stand up? Did we fight back? Did we project our voices, a truth? Did we present everything that we could before our lives were being handled and controlled? And if we didn't, then we can't sit here and just say it was them, them, them. And that's why I see it again. These gears of this system, of this oppressive system, are going to be moving. They have been moving for decades now, and they're not going to stop just because of a certain virus. If anything, these gears, regardless if they're exposed or not, have adapted to the world that COVID has now ushered in, and are going to use that to move faster with their agenda, which is to have complete control and they keep the cogs down here, which are the working class, constantly functioning while they could do whatever they want, maybe if not work at all up there. So again, these are things that we have to look towards and keep in our foresight and in our near sight as we keep going forward. And I believe as this year progresses on, we will hopefully it reminds more people that again, COVID was the enemy. It was the response of a incapable government that has created an incapable situation for anybody to live in. We're going to see how they handle other things, and it is and keep in mind as they blunder because they have shown that they can't handle most things, even when something is simple. I mean, you see right now how the administration is about to spend millions of dollars into cleaning crack pipes, which I understand the purpose of, which is if people are going to be doing drugs anyways, yes, you want them to do it clean, you want them to do it proper if they are going to do it. Yes, I get that sentiment, but again, if we just focus on, well, yeah, people are going to do drugs regardless of what, then we're not focused on the conversation of why are people doing drugs. Let's talk about the environment and the catalysts that push them towards that. And if we can't pit all that money into figuring out the why they're doing it, well, then let's just focus on the treatment at that point. But no, we're focused on just keeping the people doing drugs. Uh, the rise of opioid, the rise of opioid deaths that have happened, and with the mental state that we are now in, from adults all the way down now to children, because of the way that we've handled this pandemic, these opioid deaths are going to keep rising, and we're going to see that we could either just ignore everything that's pushing people towards the drugs and just accept that people are going to do drugs because they can't get up off their bootstraps and do better, and just give them clean ways to do it. We can accept that reality, or we can accept the reality where we do better as a collective. And the fact that one person alone feels that their life is so unfulfilling, their life is so miserable, and so challenging, and so hard that drugs is the only thing that they can go to for a moment of happiness, for a moment of high. That's a bigger question. The fact that one person feels that way. Now let's go and multiply it by thousands upon thousands. The same way it's like one person that dies from COVID is bad enough. But now we have 900,000 plus who have died from COVID. It shouldn't be a tally number. It should be like, let's stop it let's prevent it so that way one person is not dead from COVID, isn't dead from opioids, isn't struggling to put food on the table because they can't pay for their rent because of the eviction moratorium setting them apart, or the fact that their job let them go, or their job doesn't exist, or that they quit their job thinking that they can get something better, being manipulated into this great lie that's going on. These are things that create a society that is broken, where the cracks aren't just cracks anymore, where now you're seeing the building fall apart. And that's where we are now. The building is falling apart. But here's the kicker: we can't fix the building. So we have to get as many people as we can outside as we can. And we're at that point where people have to start caring for them lives and want to start running out of the building as well too. They can't choose, oh, well, it's okay, I'm just going to stay here because I like the comfort of the house even though it's falling apart. No. We all have to want to leave together. And inshallah, people stay aware to the reminders this administration will continue to do throughout this year and the next 2 years, and see that this was a false move in going towards. I know Trump was a bad option, and that could be a video for another day, a conversation to have. But for us to have put our hope into this administration as if they were going to come in and do anything different, even when the man himself, Joe Biden, said it, I will fundamentally not change anything. We should see that as we need to start making the push for self-independence and self-sufficiency now rather than later, because we might not get it later at all.